for all of the things you did while you were in power?
Well, he's welcome to do that if he becomes the Prime Minister of Malaysia, but if he wins over members of the ruling party to his side, it is the Prime Minister, the present leader, who should be blamed, because he couldn't even get the loyalty of his own members.
It wasn't the current Prime Minister who was in power when Anwar Ibrahim was savagely beaten during his time in detention.
But savagely beaten? I know he was slapped and he had a black eye, which was very useful for election purpose. But
well, you think he hit himself, maybe?
I don't know what happened, but the police, the IGP admitted that he assaulted Anwar, but that wasn't me, the IGP.
How will you respond if Anwar Ibrahim comes to power and he, as he said on this program and elsewhere, that he wants a full and thorough public inquiry into all of your, Dr. Mahathir's misdeeds? How will you respond to that?
Well, he is welcome to do so, but I hope that he finds people who are neutral, who are impartial, probably foreigners, because I don't trust the people that they put after people they don't like.
Interesting you say you don't trust people who are currently or maybe in charge of any inquiry. Do you trust the integrity of the Malaysian judiciary?
I do. At times I do, but
Is that because you appointed the judges?
I didn't appoint the judges. The judges were recommended by the Chief Justice, and my duty is to check whether he has any records or not, and after that it is presented to the king, who will then appoint the judge.
Dr. Mahathir, you know as well as I do that the hottest political topic in Malaysia today is the state of the judiciary, the integrity of the judiciary. And a video has been playing in Malaysia for a long time now, which shows a top lawyer talking to a top judge going back to 2001, in which the lawyer says to the judge, believe me, in the end, all of the positions going all the way to the Supreme Court are fixed by the politicians, i.e. by you, who were the Prime Minister at the time, Dr. Mahathir.
Did he say that? Did he mention my name?
He didn't mention your name. He said, this will be fixed. This goes through the political system.
Well,
you ran the political system.
I'm not so sure about that, but the fact is that this man had his video taken because they were intended to blackmail him. He happens to be my lawyer defending me at this moment for libel against Anwar. And this tape came from Anwar. Anwar had these things recorded in order to blackmail this lawyer.
But the point is, the current government, led by Prime Minister Abdullah, who is nominally, or despite what you've said on this program, is of your party, Prime Minister Abdullah has now essentially apologized. He's said, both to the Supreme Court justice that you removed and to other judges that were suspended or removed during your time in power, he said sorry to them. He said that he wants to offer them monetary compensation.
Fine, but it's a political move. Something, a man who is very unpopular at the moment, wanting to show that he's going to do something right.
And that, Dr. Mahathir, is my point. The Malaysian people no longer want to live with the system you created. That's why Prime Minister Abdullah is essentially dismantling the system that you created.
No, he's not dismantling the system. He is making use of the system in a worse way. There's nobody can say anything against him. He has newspapers which only reports about him and how great he is, and he was misled by his own supporters into believing that if he holds the election now, I mean this is 1.5 years before the end of the term, he would win. He would have a clean sweep. If you look at the records, he made statements that he would win the election with 0 for the opposition.
The more I listen to you talking about Prime Minister Abdullah, the more I wonder, why did you choose him to be your successor?
Well, these people are very smart in hiding their true character. He was known as Mr. Clean, and I thought I would appoint a clean person to succeed me. Although he was not the one with the highest votes in my party. But I thought that he was older, and I appointed him thinking that he is not going to do anything very wrong. But this man gives priority to his family rather than to the country.
So it was a fundamental lack of judgment on your part?
Yes, I'll admit that, but we all make mistakes, you know. The British people voted in people like Blair who told lies. So did the Americans. Lots of people make mistakes.
We all make mistakes, you say. Was it also a mistake for you to define yourself so clearly as anti-Western and anti-democratic in the sense that the West understands democracy?
No, that's the problem. I'm not anti-Western. I'm against the bad things that were done by the Western countries.
You're not anti-Western, and yet in June '03, before you left office, you said Anglo-Saxon Europeans essentially are proponents, and I'm quoting here, proponents of war, sodomy and genocide.
Which is true. You must admit.
But you're not anti-Western.
I'm stating the fact. This is their character, and I will continue to say so.
So when you come here you sit in the Hard Talk studio in the heart of London, you regard yourself, do you, as in one of the headquarters of war, sodomy and genocide?
Well, I come here, of course, expecting to be lambasted by you because that is the way you work.
Well, I'm not lambasting you at all. I'm trying to tease out whether you believe it was a mistake for you to use this sort of language, because you clearly cut yourself off from any sort of meaningful dialogue with the West when you use these words.
The Europeans used to call us the lazy Malays, incompetent Malays, untrustworthy Malays. We couldn't say a thing about you. So when I was in a position to say what we think about you, and I said it, and you don't like it. And when you said it to us, you expect us to like it. We didn't like it, but we had no way of making our voices heard.
I'm just wondering how you feel about democracy. Of course, in the world since 9/11, the United States and a coalition of partners led by the United Kingdom have talked a lot about spreading democracy. Do you believe in democracy?
If you look at the history of the West, they come up with all kinds of ideologies. They use it for some time, and then they found it defective, and they drop it and start on another. One day they are going to forget about democracy, because in some countries, democracy actually ended up with anarchy, and there were practically no governments. It's not a system that can fit everybody. You must have a certain understanding of the limitations of democracy in order to make it work.
Is that why you were not a Democrat, why you in the end did behave like a dictator?
Well, that is something that the West would like to say about me. I'm a dictator.
Well, I'm just quoting your own words from 2002. You said, it's good governance people need. You said feudal kings, even dictators, have provided and can provide good governance.
That is very true. That is very true.
So why disguise your real feelings? Why not just say to me, yes?
The great civilizations of the past did not have democracies, and yet they became great. It's not necessary that the system will work for everybody. But if you have a bad leader, even the democratic system would fail. You must remember that it is a democratic country which dropped atom bombs, killing 200,000 people.
How do you think the Malaysian public will respond to you saying, look, you know what, democracy isn't the best system, and in fact dictatorship can often work better?
I went through 5 elections, and I won all the elections with a 2/3
without a
majority.
free press, locking up many of your opponents.
That you go again about locking up many of my opponents. Who were they?
I don't know how many times I have to tell you that I've studied the Human Rights Watch reports, the Amnesty International reports, studies from the State Department, from the Canadian government.
These are biased reports. The first thing I did on becoming the Prime Minister in 1981 was to release political prisoners who were detained by my predecessors, 22 of them, including many members of the opposition.
And a 1984 press law which required newspapers to get a new license every single year. Made it very easy, for you to quieten them down, didn't it?
No, it has always been there. The press law has been there because we live in a country.
You know you did.
Oh, no, I didn't. I didn't do that. But I don't know where you get your information from. But the fact is that